Howdy everyone. So I'm moving on to making these F695 gussets. These gussets here, they mount here on the forward fuselage. They basically attach the longeron to this cross member on the firewall. A couple of things that I've noticed. I've already made one. I'm starting to work on the other side now. First thing is, you'll notice that they give an overall length dimension of 7 and 9/32. Now my pieces came already cut to that exact length. So there's no room there to make these any smaller. I can't file these down any smaller than they already are because they already came at this dimension here. The other thing you'll notice when you fit these to the firewall and to the longeron, this leg here is not cut at the correct angle. You'll have the corner of the gusset fit against the corner here, and as this leg comes across, it will move itself away from the firewall. Now, let me show you that real time here with the real piece. So this is the side I'm working on. This is the piece that I'm talking about here. So when I lay this up here and I align this long edge with the edge of the longeron, you'll see a gap open up here. So I'll line this up and I'll touch that corner to the firewall, and I'll get this lined up parallel with the edge of the longeron, roughly like that, and you can see that gap there open up. It opens up right here. Now what I could do, I could grind this down. I could reshape this part to get this to fit up against here nicely all the way across, but that would mean taking material off of this corner here, which is going to change the overall length of this leg, which I cannot do because this leg is already cut to the size specified on the print. So I've decided not to modify this part. I'm going to leave that gap as it is. That's how I have the other side. The other thing that I noticed was when you lay out these holes, this hole pattern on the gusset itself, you start from this corner, you measure down 5/8 inch, you make your mark, and then you go every 1/2 inch after that. When you get down to this end, you have virtually no edge distance. If I were to modify this to get this gap to close here, that would make this leg even shorter, which would basically eliminate that hole. And that hole needs to be there. When you look at the plans and you count how many holes you're supposed to have, you need that hole. So what I elected to do, as I did with the other side, I laid this out per the plans. But when I come in here and I actually center punch these first few I'll probably center punch right on the line. But as I come down, I'm going to move each center punch back behind the line ever so slightly. So by the time I get down to this end, this mark here, the hole for this will actually be back like 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little bit further. And that gives me good edge distance here. And let me see, the one other thing is that these come pre-bent. There's a bend line right here. So this leg that you see with the line drawn on it has a bend this way. I had to tweak that a little bit on both gussets because it didn't lay correctly along this edge, or if it laid correctly on this edge, this leg here was standing up a little too high, so I had to adjust that bend a little bit. But other than that, other than adjusting the bend, and other than, wow, Sorry about that. Other than adjusting the bend and adjusting the hole locations, wow, hold on. Man. I adjusted the bend and I adjusted these hole locations just as I described. Other than that, I didn't change anything else. I didn't change the shape of the part or anything like that. So that's kind of where I am. I'm going to start drilling these holes, and I'm going to talk about laying out these holes, and I'm going to go get a drink of water, and I'll be right back. Howdy again, everyone. All right. So continuing on with the gusset. So now to lay out this line here, all I had done was I lay out the gusset. I put this edge of the gusset even with the edge of the longeron, not the skin, with the edge of the longeron. If you look at the plans, there's a detail showing you that you align the long edge of the gusset with the longeron itself and not the outside of the skin. So if you do that, you have the gusset lined up, you have it against the firewall here. As I said, you'll notice there's a gap that opens up here. Now what I had done was I had marked the edge of the piece with a Sharpie here. I moved the gusset out of the way, and then I measured 7/16 from the firewall out, and I put that little tick mark on the line. So that little tick mark is 7/16 from the firewall. Then I transfer that tick mark onto the gusset, making sure that the gusset, again, is lined up correctly along this edge, and it's up against the firewall in this corner. So now I've got 7/16 from the firewall across the angle, put that tick mark, and then I transfer that tick mark onto the gusset. And then from this edge of the gusset, I mark 7/16, put that tick mark, and then all I do is connect the dots. Now what that does, it maintains a straight line on the angle. So these 5 bolts will be in a straight line down the angle. However, when you look at the gusset, let me lay this down. When you look at the gusset, you can see that that line looks like it's at an angle. Of course it is not. It's just this edge of the piece is angled. But doing it this way, you maintain good edge distance here, which is the smaller end. As you come back, your edge distance gets better. And this edge distance that's on the angle piece on the actual airplane is the correct 7/16. So I hope that makes sense. So again, all I did was I laid out the gusset where it's supposed to be on the airplane. I drew a line across the angle where the end of the gusset lays. I measured from the firewall out 7/16, which is depicted on the plans, and I put a mark. With the gusset in place, I transfer that mark onto the gusset. And then at this corner of the gusset, on this corner of the gusset here, I measure 7/16 from this edge, and then all I do is connect the 2 dots. And now this is the line that I'll use for my rivets. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to lay out these 5 rivets, and then I'll take this whole plate over to the drill press, and I'll center punch all of these, and I'll drill all of them. Then I'll take the gusset over to the airplane, get it lined up the way that I need it. I'll drill, I'll match one of these holes somewhere on the end to the longeron, drill the longeron, cleco it, come to the other end, get it aligned on the longeron, drill it, or mark it, move the gusset, drill the longer on, bring the gusset back, cleco those two locations, and then go ahead and mark all the other holes. Take the gusset out, drill the longer on, drill the angle on the firewall, and then put this back, cleco, and then one at a time, rivet. So that's kind of my process. It worked on the other side. It should work on this side. And next up, I believe, will be the, I believe it's a seatbelt harness anchors. Something like that. All right. Talk to you guys later.